So working with lenders over the past couple of weeks, we had something interesting that came up. The package that they got concerning this major project contains a feasibility study, 5-year projections, but a part of it is a bio, just a quick rundown of what I've been through over the years. So one of the lenders said, hey, we've noticed you've been through some adversity in your career several times, and can you talk a little bit about that and how you overcame that? Yes, sure, be more than happy to. Now, adversity, you never wish that upon anybody, but you have to realize that if you go through it, buckle down and you'll make it through it. But when you get to the other side, you're going to come out better than what you went in. Now, fortunately, I've been through that several times, a couple of major ones. But I know today that if I run into adversity again, I'll come out better on the other side. That's just the way it happens. The reason is you are put in a position where you have to learn, or you have to really knuckle down, work on it hard to rebuild, to get over the problem, whatever it is. And it's one thing to have adversity that you create, like making a mistake or not getting the full picture before you start something. But it's another thing to have adversity that you didn't create at all. You didn't bring it on at all. It just happened. And that's happened a couple of times. So yeah, great. I want to talk about it. I want to share the story because wasn't fun, but it was fascinating. It was something I got through. So back in 1988, Dad and I decided to build a convenience store. And this is back when they were fairly new at the time. And we built this. We brought in a consultant from Texas, and they worked on it and put a plan together. And we got the place open, and it went gangbusters. It was great. We started out 18 hours a day being open, and quickly, within, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, decided to open up 24 hours a day because we were just getting slammed all day long. And there was maybe a downtime for an hour or two. And we were doing food at this location as well. So by the time they would do their prep, wow, we might as well be open 24 hours. And we built traffic all night long. So about 3 or 4 years after that, I started thinking about building another convenience store in another town. Got the consultants back in, did a study, worked on it together. And I really like the concept of going to one place and getting all this stuff done, at one place. And with that said, we put up a place where you could buy your convenience items, candy, cigarettes, beer, soft drinks, chips. But you could also get Lee's Famous Recipe Fried Chicken. That's a regional chicken franchise in our area. Really good stuff. Also gasoline, and we had a video store because this was back when video stores were still a thing. All these products, everything was available through a drive-through window. It was state of the art. It was featured in all the national trade magazines all over the United States. So we opened it up, and it was going well. But about 18 months after, we opened up this $1.8 million convenience store. I was sitting in our house, me and my wife, and we were living in this 800 square foot double wide. And we inherited this from the property that we bought to put the convenience store on. So I just told her, I said, hey, we can take the house we own and rent it out, live in the double wide on another piece of property that we had, rent free, debt free, and just kind of work on building, during that time. She said, okay. So on a Saturday afternoon, I was sitting there. 18 months after this $1.8 million store was opened. Phone rings. David, yeah? We're evacuating the city of Falmouth. What? What do you mean? Well, the floodwaters are coming and we have to get everybody out. And I said, well, oh my gosh, okay. All right, well, I'll come down. Hung up the phone. And honestly, it had been raining for about 24 hours, but you just don't think, oh, this is going to cause a catastrophic flood. And I thought, okay, they're probably overreacting to the situation. I'll go down there and check it out. So I get down into the town, and it was hectic. Everybody's moving out. I mean, all the police were there, sheriff, city police, state police, everybody was there getting people out. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go help out some businesses. So I went to help them out. And after a while, I thought, oh, I've got a 20-foot box truck back at my office. I'm going to go back and get that because we can put all kinds of stuff on the box truck and then come back, dump it in the warehouse that I had, and make as many trips as I can. So I left the town, drove back to my office, got the box truck, came back into town. Well, by the time I got back, it had turned dark, but I was driving in 3 feet of water. Now, this is a big diesel truck, so I was able to still drive. So it's way off the ground. But I thought, man, this box, it's just going to float after a while. If it gets too deep, it's just going to lift the whole truck off the ground. So I thought, well, I better turn around, which was scary because 3 feet of water, you don't know where the road is. I'm just going down what I hope is the middle of the road based on road signs and telephone poles and things like that. I get turned around and I go back to the store. And I want to say the store, I thought, well, it's not going to affect my store that I just built because I knew where the 100-year floodplain was. We haven't had a flood in 30 years. And the floor of that store, we put it 8 feet above the 100-year flood mark. We're fine. So I go back to the store and I'm helping them take care of customers. It's packed. Everybody's buying gasoline. They're buying food and snacks, packing up and getting out of town, going to the high areas in the county. Well, later on, I guess probably, 8, 9 o'clock at night, I started noticing the floodwaters were creeping up the driveway to my store. And when I say creeping up, you could watch the water come up the drive like that. And I thought, oh my gosh. So I went inside and I got everybody out of there, said, go on home. And thank goodness I thought about shutting the electricity off everywhere, all the way out of the store and to the main line coming into the store, shut it down. And then I got in my car. I was the last person to leave the town. Drove over the bridge of the river that was flooding and went home. Later on, we found out that they deemed it a 500-year flood. It had never flooded this bad in history. Never. I didn't know where it ended up. I didn't know if it hit the store, how bad it hit the store. Had no idea. So, had to wait till the floodwaters went down. Now, the National Guard was brought in, and they shut the whole town down. After the floodwaters receded, no one was allowed back in. I had to get back in. I thought to myself, well, what can I do here? So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go down, talk to the National Guard commander, which I did. And I said to him, I can have you a tanker truck down here within about an hour with diesel fuel and gasoline so you can operate your vehicles. He said, that's great. Go ahead and get that done. I said, will do. However, I need to also get in and see if I can get the store open, because I think probably within 10 to 14 days I can. Then you can also fill up there, and if we've get everything cleaned out and operational, we can sell food to you and really help out. He said, yeah, without a doubt, go ahead and do that. He was going to radio down to the town to let me in. I said, well, I'll come back in the morning and we'll come in and assess it. So I got about 12 high school students with squeegees and mops and brooms and shovels and hoses, and then I got the guy that built the place, and we went down there and we went in the store, and we could see that right away there was no structural damage, thank goodness, because when I built the location and we raised up the flood elevation, we raised up the floor 8 feet above the flood zone, had to put in a retaining wall on the back side towards where the river was. And that retaining wall was built to take a 35-mile-an-hour impact from a vehicle. So it was strong. And what happened was that retaining wall stopped the flow of the river that was on that side, and also stopped the flow of debris coming down the river towards the store. So what flooded the store was backwater, stagnant backwater with no flow to it. But it did get up to about 3.5 feet in the store. We could see from the water level. It had receded, everything was out, but it left an absolute mess. And in a convenience store, you can picture 3.5 feet off the floor pretty much gets almost everything. But thank goodness I had turned off the electricity. We ended up washing out the electrical components, the dispenser for the gasoline, washing all that out, and then taking a hair dryers and drying them before we flipped the electric back on. And we did get everything cleaned out pretty well. Couldn't work at night because there wasn't any electricity. But I wanted to tell you, if it wasn't surreal enough that you have to go through the National Guard to get back to your business, well, when we got down there that first night and we looked at things, there were 200 body bags out on the driveway of my store. Reason was, within the first 3 hours of search and rescue, they found 3 bodies. Thank goodness they only found 2 more after that. I mean, you hate to say thank goodness with 2 more, but it really could have been bad. So yeah, that's the situation that I had. Now, to top it off, didn't have any flood insurance. Why? Well, we weren't in the flood zone. And you can't have flood insurance at this time. You couldn't have flood insurance if you're not in the flood zone. It's impossible. So we had to build back. We had to get everything cleaned out, restock, just cash out of pocket, $300,000. But most importantly, I had to blow the sales up. It was still new store. It got out of the gate okay, but new business, it takes a while to really get your sales where you want them. So I took a deep dive into marketing. I was pretty good at it, prior, but I took a way deep dive into marketing, and I learned about guerrilla marketing. I read the book several times. I thought, man, this is the greatest thing in the world, because guerrilla marketing is marketing to people in a fashion they feel like you're not advertising to them, and it's well received. And the way I took it and the way I used it, the reason it was well received, you're pretty much just doing nice things for people. You're pretty much just helping people out And I remember the best thing that we did, the number one marketing item that we did out of probably about 30. I mean, we had an entire calendar. I had people assigned to the calendar to do different tasks, but the number one item, we would take the local newspaper every week, as a weekly newspaper, buy 3, 4, 5 copies, cut out every photo and every article about people. We would laminate it, but on the back side, on the inside of the laminate, I put a little note, provided by me, my name, and the store name, and a logo. And we put all this in an envelope with a message saying, congratulations, good job, way to go, whatever the note, you know, was best to put down. And I'd sign it. We'd send it out with 2 coupons. One coupon was for a free 2-piece snack, 2 pieces of chicken and a biscuit at the store. You just show up and you use a coupon, no catch. And the second coupon was the other store owned, sold pizza, so it was for a free individual pizza. We did about 25 to 30 of these a week for about 5 years, and we'd send them out. And I told my staff, I said, this is like little happy bombs that are going out into the community, and when they hit, they explode. And the explosion is because the people that got the laminate copy of their kid in a fishing tournament or grows big tomato or whatever, I mean, it's true. They loved it. But then they talked about it. They talked about it to their friends and their relatives and their neighbors. And after we started doing this and we kept it up for a while, oh my gosh, I couldn't go anywhere without somebody almost immediately coming up saying, David, thank you for sending the laminated copy of my son and the big birthday party we had. Oh, glad to do it, you know. Reciprocity. Reciprocity. I was doing something nice for them, genuinely nice. Where do you think they shopped? It blew sales up. And over the next 17 years, we had double-digit growth in sales for 17 years. Think about the compounding effects of that. It's one thing to do it for a couple of years, but double digit on top of double digit on top of double digit, 17 years. Yeah. It was tough, but going through that ended up way better on the other side than where I started. It was no fun, but we got there. Anyhow, no matter what you're going through with your business, you can make it. Just hang in there. Seek out help. Everything I've ever gotten into, I reach out and I get help because I can't do it all myself. I want to talk to people that have already done it. I also want to get help from my staff because they have great ideas, amazing ideas. And my staff knows, and they've always known, that I depend on them to give me the real story. And if I've got the real story and we can work on it, then we can make improvements. And when you do that, they love to work for you. And you have happy employees, and those guys stay. You don't have turnover. In fact, while all this is going on in that store, all these contests and all these different things we were doing, my staff would tell me that their friends would say, you know, hey, where you work? Oh, I work at BB's, is the name of the store. Oh, well, you guys are the ones that have the contests, right? Almost like every day there's a different contest. Yeah. And you send out the laminates to everybody. Yeah, and you guys do this and you do that. They're proud to work there because it's fun. A convenience store is fun to work at. They're making a little better than minimum wage, but it was fun, and they liked to come to work because they knew they counted. They counted in my eyes, and they also counted in the customer's eyes. Reach out, get help. Send me a message if you need help. Have a great day.